Oh, okay. Let me see if I am live in the right place. I very much hope so. First of all. Looks like it's possible. Let's just get the right screen on my laptop first before we start. There we go. Oh, it's looking a bit pixelated. Let's hope it settles down. Okay, so if you're joining me live, then welcome to August 2026 is monthly card club. We're going to be using the Scenic Coast Suite tonight. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. But just to get started, if you are going to be crafting along with me tonight, if you're watching live, please drop into the chat and say hi. Hi, Debbie. You've got the idea. Fabulous. Yeah, so I'm really hoping that the connection is going to be okay tonight and is going to be strong enough because I don't know about where everybody else is that's going to be watching, but we've had some dreadful weather here this afternoon. We had a power cut for 4 hours, so that was a good start. That started in this morning's in-person card club here at my house. I was literally just boiling the kettle for another cup of coffee and boom, everything went. So that was lovely. So I really hope the weather appears to have settled down outside at the moment, but that isn't to say that it will stay that way. So hi, Sally. So let's just keep our fingers and toes crossed that everything goes. If it all goes boom, I will do my level best to put a message into the Facebook group to let you know what my plans are. When it went this morning, I couldn't even get onto it through my phone or anything. So if it does disappear, it's probably not you, it's probably me. But let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's hope we can get through. So yeah, so like I say, we're going to be using Scenic Coast tonight, which is this suite with the lovely sailing boat and the lighthouse as well. And I've got lots of features and bits and pieces to show you about that. We've got 4 projects to make tonight, I hope, because none of them are too technical. You've got lots of die cut pieces in your kit if you're crafting along. So be very, very careful when you open your kit because there are lots of little black bits and very few of them are not needed. So I will show you as I open my kit the bits that I've got, but there are some little squiggly bits, for example, that you might think, oh, I'll bin those. They're just the offcuts. They're not. They're either waves, which we are going to use in our first card tonight, or they might be the birds, the seagulls. So don't chuck anything away until you're absolutely certain that you don't need it, okay? That's my first top tip for this particular suite of products. It is absolutely stunning, and everybody who came this morning, I had an absolute full house this morning, it was lovely, and everybody who came this morning really, really loved the papers. They are a bit reminiscent of some papers we've had twice now, I think, a couple of years ago where we had some scenic papers. I think they were called something meadow papers, can't remember. Anyway, they were really popular. We did loads with them. And so there are lots of ideas on my YouTube channel for how to use this particular type of paper, if you like, where it's all scenery and there's no kind of specific focal point to it. So if you want some more ideas with the leftovers, or if you've got this suite of products and you're just on here for ideas, then do go to my YouTube channel as well, because there's some really good things on there. One of the cards that is the most popular one that I've ever made and then filmed is the variegated panel card, and you can do a variegated panel with this suite very easily. So that's a top tip, and one to go and look for is the variegated panel card that's recorded on YouTube. So I think you'll really enjoy that one. Okay, I think we're going to get straight on. I'm going to turn the camera around and yeah, we'll just get straight on with it. Hi Jodie, lovely to see you again. Hi. Yeah, so I'll just flip the camera around and then I can show you everything that I've got. I'm going to have to be with my specs on now. This is a new thing for me, but I've discovered after only having them for a couple of months that I basically can't live without them now. So every time I'm looking at detail, I'm having to put my specs on all the time. I had a very frustrating moment this evening where I was cooking tea and I literally couldn't see, for the first time, I couldn't see the dials on the cooker, which was really annoying. So yeah, bear with me if my glasses are on and off throughout the evening. You'll see them coming up and down in the camera, I expect. Anyway, right, there's no Evelyn tonight either. She's out celebrating exam results with her mates. Yeah, no Evelyn. So let me just turn the camera around. Come on. There we go. That's why there's an empty chair over there. And let's just get started with showing you what's what. I'll show you what we're going to make in a moment. Let's get everything in the right position. Oh, that would help if we had some lights, wouldn't it, as well? Let's see. Where's the cables for the lights? See, I'm lost without her already. She normally does all the lights for me, so let me just get all the lights on. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? There we go, that's better. Can actually see what we're doing then. That's a lot better. Let's just push the paper up as well, so we're actually in shot. There we go. I think that should be okay now. Okay, so this suite consists of a stamp set, which, as you've probably gathered by now, those of you who've been crafting with me for a while, when I'm doing a class to post, I don't always get the stamp set because I am not allowed to send you stamped images. Quite rightly so, that's Stampin Up's USP, so I'm not allowed to do that. So I'm going to share with you the pieces that I have used to create my cards and that I think are the best bits, if you like, out of the suite. So first things first is the die set, which I think is absolutely fantastic. There are very few dies in this set that I wouldn't use. So you have got, and you've got all of these, most of the useful ones here, cut out in your set. They're all in black card, so you can spot them easily. So you've got the lighthouse and the sailing boat with the waves below. You've got this one. We were querying what is this morning. So this is meant to be a sunburst, a sun ray. And you'll see on, I haven't made a card with it, but you'll see on the email that I sent you, with the details, or is it on tomorrow's? No, it might be on tomorrow's email that's coming out for booking next time's class. There's a sample on there that I've shared of how to use this sunburst die. Then you've got these little squiggles at the top here. Can you see those little squiggles? Those are the seagulls. Those are the birds flying. So those are the bits that, like I say, you might think, oh, they're just bits that have fallen out of the cliffs or out of the sea or the sailing boat or whatever. They're not, they're seagulls. So do not throw any little squiggles away. This is a cave that we because I've just come back from holiday in Dorset, we named this Durdle Door this morning. Then you've got a little bit of fishing net, a cloud, a group of seashells. You have got the group of seashells cut out in black, but I'll show you the seashells cut out of scraps of the paper as well, because that's really effective because of the colours and it makes the seashells look really, really cool. Then you've got a couple of bits of fence and then some other random bits, which I think cut out things in the stamp set. So that obviously is meant to be a sun, the circle. These two bits, I'm not entirely sure, if I'm honest, what they are. Anybody who's got the stamp set that goes with this, you can tell me if you want to what these are. I'm guessing they might be additional sails for boats or something like that, smaller boats. I'm not sure. So I guess the only bit that I haven't really used so far in this suite is these two little triangles down the bottom. But everything else, very, very usable. So, love the die set. Let's get rid of that. Then you've got the papers. So just wanted to show you, it's a 6x6 pack of papers, and you get 48 pages in the pack. So bumper pack of papers, loads and loads of papers. And you get, let's find all the papers. Let's come out, wait a minute. So these, for those of you who haven't got the kit and aren't crafting along, these are the papers. I'm going to try and kind of wiggle them around a bit so that you can see the beautifully foiled elements at the bottom. Now, this is a bit unique because it's clear foiling. So you kind of might think, well, surely it's silver or something, but it isn't. It's clear foiling. So all it does is make the colour shimmer underneath. Now, let me just see if I can try and hold it so that you can actually see. There we go. You can see the foiling. See that? It's clever, isn't it? Really clever. So that's the first one. And you've got this one, and the foiling is all down the centre here. The foiling really highlights the reflection of the setting or rising sun into the sea. That's the idea. This one is really beautiful. This is the first one we're going to use actually. And the foiling here is down the centre, and then you've also got a huge piece of foiling across what makes kind of like the white horses on the waves, really, across the bottom here, which is really pretty. This one, again, you've got this feels more stormy to me, and you've got the foiling down the centre. This one where the foiling is the reflection of the setting sun. And then finally this one where you've got a big piece of foiling in the centre, and then it's also all over the waves as well. So really, really pretty. And then if I just show you the back images, it's all waves in different colour tones, basically. So you've got purples, blues, pinks, and then the yellow. And that's the back of the papers, okay? We're not going to use any of the back sides of the paper. I cannot offer an apology for that because the fronts are way too gorgeous. So that's the papers. And then also what goes with this suite is these gems. And these are called Sunset Sparkle Sequins. Sunset Sparkle Sequins. But you could use any other gems that you've got. When I first made the cards, I didn't even put the gems on, to be honest. I then ordered some gems so that I could see what they were like. And you know, actually, some of the colours I've already got, so in other sets. So I think you could replicate these if you don't want to buy everything in the suite. But anyway, there we go. So that's all the elements. And then the cards that we're going to make tonight are going to be nice and simple to get us started. A nice, simple, easy one. So this is that beautiful purple card paper, sorry, that I was talking about just now. And you can straight away see these bits of black are from the offcuts of the waves. Okay, so this is what I mean by don't chuck anything away. All right, and none of my cards have got sentiments on them tonight because I think that this suite is really universal, and you can make it into thank you cards, men's cards, women's cards, boy cards, children cards, you know, anything. So I've actually left all the sentiments off of mine bar one tonight. And that's because I know who I'm going to give that card to. So I have put a sentiment on it already. But anyway, that's the first one. This is the second one. And this one, you may be able to spot how I have coordinated with the Circled in Nature dies. So that's what I've cut out the little border circle with, okay? I'm not going to do that tonight to show you how you can do it without that. So if you don't have the Circled in Nature dies, it doesn't matter. You can still create a beautiful kind of porthole looking card with this instead. And lots of people asked me about the wood grain paper this morning as well. So the wood grain paper comes from another paper pack. And let me just grab my catalogue and I can tell you what that one is. It's called Waterside Retreat or something like that. And there it is. Yeah, Waterside Retreat. So in the current catalogue, which is still this one, it's on page 63, and the wood grain paper is the back side of the little boat floats. So that's that one, just so you know where it's come from. So we're going to do a little porthole card using the lighthouse. Then we've got a little clever card. This clever card is a bit of a 3D. It's almost like a diorama. If I hold it up, having slightly opened it, you'll see what I mean. You can get a view all the way through from the boat in the foreground to what we're calling Durdle Door in the background, and you can see you've got lots of birds in this one, so this is where your birds come into play. Okay, now the important thing about this card before we start anything at all is that you've got two boats in your cutout, in your dies. One of your boats needs to be saved to have enough card around the edges to be able to cut it out as a square. Okay, so you're going to need a boat from the second die for this boat, but don't cut them both out. Don't be tempted to cut both of them out if you want to make this card. Obviously, if you don't want to make this card, it makes no difference. You can cut out whatever you like out of them. But if you want to make this kind of diorama type card, then you need the square frame, enough card around it to create that. Okay, so that's your warning about that one. And then the final one is this one. So this is a panel card where you've got all the individual strips. And the variegated panel that I talked about before basically starts with a full length strip in the middle, and then you get smaller strips as you go either side, and that's why it's called variegated. But that's the final one that we're going to do tonight. And as you can see, I have got a happy birthday on it because I know who I'm giving that to. I have got another example as well to show you, but we're not going to make this one tonight. Just wanted to show you what else you can do with it, really, and that the papers are so gorgeous you can actually cover the entire card face with it. And also I've added in, hopefully you can see that if I hold it on the edge there, I've added the little fence pieces in, and I've cut out some of the shells using the reverse side remainder from the papers. So the bits of paper that we're not going to use, particularly from this card, I've used the reverse side and cut out some seashells because it just looks cute, really. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. So let me get them in the right order so I know which one we're doing. So there we go, let's get started. So this is the one we're going to start with. So you are going to need your piece of purple cardstock, and you want to cut it in half. So you will have a whole piece like this. You're going to cut it in half and fold it in half, okay? So cutting it in half will take you... I've got one already cut because Evelyn gave me her leftover strip this morning. She did join us this morning. So cutting it in half with the long side at the top, you're going to cut it at 14.9 centimetres. So 14.9 centimetres, cut it down. And then you're going to score it at 10.5 centimetres. So it's just your standard card base, okay? That's what we're starting with. So I've got mine already scored here. So 14.9 to cut the A4 card in half, and then 10.5 to score half of it in half. And the piece of patterned paper that you're going to use is this one. And it's easily identifiable because it's kind of pinky purple. It's the palest one in the pack. And on the reverse, you've got the purple kind of seafoam pattern, really, I suppose I'd say, on the back. Like a lilac kind of seafoamy pattern on the back. Okay, so that's the bit of paper that you want. So let's get started, shall we? So you're going to fold that card base in half and get your bone folder out and give that a really good crease. Let's line that up. Give that a really good crease so it's nice and sharp. There we go. And then the important bit with this piece of paper is that the sun, the kind of reflection of the rising, I think this is rising sun rather than setting sun, that needs to be in the center of your card design. So what you need to do is to probably chop a little bit off of either side in order to get this in the centre. If you don't have it in the centre, if you just cut off the measurement off of one side, then I personally, I mean, you can do that, of course, but personally, I think it doesn't quite give the idea that the boat is then sailing into the setting or rising sun. So the measurement that you need for this is you need it to be 14.3 centimetres. So I would just take off literally like a couple of millimetres from each side so that it then gives you 14.3. Okay, and then that keeps that setting rising sun roughly in the centre of the card. So 14.3 centimetres is what you want that to be. Okay, once you've kind of trimmed those sides. And then the next thing that you want is you're going to cut something off top or bottom, or in this case, I think again, in order to make that horizon line central in the middle of your card so that your boat will float across the middle of the card, you again need to chop off a bit from the top and from the bottom of this paper. Okay, so you want to make this 9.9. So if you take about 2.5 centimetres off the sky to begin with, turn it round and put it at 9.9 and then look and see where that line is. And then you can always hold your card up to it and think, is that roughly in the centre? Or do I need to take a bit more off the sky first? I think 2.5 centimetres is enough because I still love the beautiful waves and the setting sun. So I'm then going to take the rest up to 9.9, sorry, so that you've then got a piece that fits in the middle of your card frame and you've got the setting or rising sun bit in the middle of the card, which is what you want to give that focal point to the image. Hope that makes sense. Now, the other little top tip I'm going to give you is do not, say it again, do not throw away any of these scraps. A, because they're beautiful, and B, because you can do things with them, because that is a perfectly acceptable scrap of paper that you can have as behind a sentiment or as a border strip, or for this one particularly, you've got the beautiful waves. I am very tempted to put these waves inside like that to give me an inside strip to my card. Just adds again something else, a little bit something else. Okay, so don't chuck away any big chunks of your patterned paper because you can do things with them. So once you've got those pieces of pattern paper, this gets stuck flat down. Okay, so we're going to go straight ahead and flat down onto the card. And I am going to assume tonight that, given who's here, that you are all crafting along. So I will stop in a minute and make sure that everyone's kind of caught up with me. So that bit flat down on the front, and then I'm going to put the waves that we chopped off on the inside, so that they don't lose that lovely foiled bit of paper there. There we go. Stick that on the inside. Just adds a little something to it, I think. Okay. So I'm going to pause there a moment, take a slurp of my tea while anybody who is crafting just kind of catches up with that bit. And then I'm going to start hunting for my sailing boats and the pieces that have fallen out of the sailing boat as well that will become my waves. And I can show you which bits I mean. So I have got a couple of sailing boats, as you'll probably have as well. I think that one to me looks like it's probably squarest for later, so I'm going to save that one for my diorama card. But what I do need to find is a couple of these little bits, these squiggles. And they'll probably just be free floating inside your kit. You might have 2 or 3, you know, whatever. You could, I mean, you can put as many on as you want, really. If you can only find 2, just put 2 on. If you can find 3, great, put 3 on. Oh, I actually managed to find 4. Look at that. But what you want to do is you want to cut your boat out of this. So you want some snips. And I am going to cut, if you look at the boat here, you've got a couple of lines creating the hull. And I am just going to follow the line of the hull down into that kind of horizon line and just snip it off like that. So I'm not, it's tempting to kind of cut it off across the bottom, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to cut it there. So you've got plenty of boat base. And then you don't need the rest of that bit. You can get rid of that bit. And then all of these pieces, the waves and the boat itself, they're all flat down on the card. So it'll go in the post really well. And just want to kind of play about with the waves a bit until you've got them, you know, kind of how you want them to be, really. Spaced out evenly. And I'm thinking I'm going to leave a space up here in, I mean, it sounds dreadful to say it, but kind of a more boring piece of sky, if you like, because it's not boring at all, it's beautiful colours. But that's where I plan for my sentiment to go. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm only going to use 3 waves because you know why, those of you who've crafted with me for a while, but odd numbers make a more natural look. So I'm only going to go with 3 waves. Just putting the tiniest bit of glue on the back of the boat. Stick that down so it looks like it's sailing across the sunrise. And then a little dab of glue on these waves as well. Just kind of a bit abstract here and there. They're a bit fiddly to glue, but they don't take a lot to stick down. And the good thing about this paper as well is often when you've got foiled card, it's then really difficult to stick things to it. But this foiled card, I don't know if it's because it's clear foiling, maybe, I'm not sure, but it does allow things to stick to it quite easily. I mean, these are really small strips, but they're still holding fast quite easily. So that's really good as well. Just gonna stick those down. There we go. And then I've added a couple of little bits of bling as well. So let's add some of these. Pretty. Let's have some different coloured ones this time. Bits of glue on the end of my pokey tool. There we go, that's better. Oh, where's the other one? Over there. Little slight different array of colours there. Like I said, really simple, no sentiments, so that I can very quickly and easily use it for any occasion. Now, I have lost the tip of my pokey tool, so that's a really good start, isn't it? Right, I'm going to put my pokey tool there and hope that the cover turns up in a minute, as I'm sure it probably will. I've probably dropped it on the floor or something. As it's rubber, it didn't sound as it fell off. Never mind. I will find that later. Okay. So there we go. So that's really simple, quick and easy. That's card number 1. And this is what I wanted to show you with these papers. because they're so easy to create a scene with. They're so easy to use, so flexible, but also just very quick and easy to create a beautiful card with. So yeah, really, really good, really lovely, versatile papers. Okay, so everybody still with me? If you are crafting along and you are keeping up, then give me a thumbs up so that I know that you're happy for me to carry on to project number 2. It's all cards tonight as well, I'm afraid. There's no 3D, boxes or anything like that. It's all cards, but that's okay. It's nice to have a change sometimes, isn't it? Do something different. I've been preparing bits for my Christmas workshop this afternoon as well, which I will talk about a bit more in a moment. But very exciting, very exciting. So I've had lots of papers and die cut pieces and all kinds of things out all afternoon. Fabulous. Okay, let's put that one to one side then. So that's number 1. Number 2 is going to be this one. And so this is, I think I'm calling this the porthole card. Because it feels to me like you're looking through a porthole, looking out at the scene on the horizon beyond. So for this one, what you're going to need is your piece of black A4 card, which we're going to cut into 2 card bases. So you'll need that. You are going to need your, you've got a bit of wood grain, and on the back of it you've got some floats and buoys and things. A bit of wood grain. And you're going to need your, oops, all caught up together here. Your piece that has got the lighthouse on it. Okay, that bit. So those are the bits that you're going to need. Now, if you've got a die that goes around the lighthouse, like this one that I used from the, what did I just say it was called? Something with nature, so Encircled with Nature or Circled with Nature dies, you can use that. If you haven't, and you've got a reel of tape or something that you can draw around and cut out, you can use that instead. I'm just looking to see if I have got a reel of tape that I can grab and use. Or you can use, so you could put a reel of tape around it if you want to give just a little bit of border. That's okay as well. Or you can use any other circle die that you've got that fits around it. So that's fine too. And then the paper that you're going to use for this one is the slightly more kind of stormy looking paper, which is, and you'll be the last one, that one. So the paper is the one that's quite dark and stormy looking, and on the back it's sort of like a coral, it's like calypso coral and probably pumpkin pie. It's like an orangey colour, like an orange and pinky kind of wash on the back. Okay, so that's the one that you need. Okay, so those are the elements that you're going to use. So let's start by cutting your piece of A4 cardstock. So again, we're going to make 2 standard size card bases. So given that we're doubling up and we're making 2 at the same time of these card bases, we will do both in one go. So put the short side of your A4 card into your cutting tool, and you're going to score, first of all. You're going to score at 10.5 centimetres. So score all the way down the length at 10.5 centimetres, and then turn it around so that you've got your long side at the top, and you're going to cut it in half at 14.9 centimetres. And that gives you 2 standard size card bases. 1, 2. Okay, you only need 1. We can put the other one to one side. That will be our diorama card later on. Okay, so let's just crease that one. Again, using the bone folder, let's just crease that one down to get us started. Excuse me. And then you're going to need your bit of wood grain paper, and that's going to go straight down the centre. So let's get the cutting board out of the way. Your wood grain paper goes straight down the centre of the card. So it is too long for your card, that is okay. So what I would do is just line it up so that you can see where you're going to need to, you only need to glue up to the end. Obviously you don't need to glue across the further than the end, but you will need to trim a little bit off, so kind of you can make an allowance for that, but it's better to stick it down first and then trim it off afterwards, I would say. So you're going to level with the top, flat against the top, all the way down to the bottom, and then you can trim it. I like to use big scissors for trimming. Find it a lot easier than the little snips. So just take that little shaving off the bottom. So that's your card base. Put that to one side. And then you're going to come back to your beautiful patterned paper and your lighthouse motif. And you're going to put your lighthouse over the top. Let's just chop a bit off actually so that it is a bit easier to work with. There we go. So you want to put your lighthouse over the top so that you are really happy with where the sunset shines through and which colours you're getting in, you know, so you can move it around so that you can see where you're going to be happiest with that being. And then once you're happy with where it is, this is where, if you're going to die cut, you can put both of these pieces of paper lined on top of each other, put them both through the die cutting machine together so that your circle die would cut out both of these at the same time. If you're going old fashioned like I am going to do with this one to show that it's possible, and you're going to cut out with a reel of tape or a plate or a saucer or a glass or whatever else you might want to cut with, then I would stick this bit of black card to the paper first. Just because it makes it a lot easier to handle, frankly. So I'm just going to put a little light layer of glue around the edge, and I mean really light layer. I don't want it to kind of start peeking through the edges. Might put a tiny little bit on the lighthouse as well, but only down the big bulk of the lighthouse, and a little tiny bit on the roof of the Coast Guard cottage, lifeguard person's cottage, and then I'm going to stick it down where I want it to be, so that it doesn't move when I start to cut it out, because you want even less movement when you're going to draw around a circle around it and cut out. So which ones? Maybe that one's a bit better, I don't know. Don't think it makes any difference really, does it? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a pencil to draw inside. And it's a very small overlap, very small kind of edge to this. Just want to show you that if you don't have circle dies, it's not the end of the world. You can create a very beautiful image without. So again, that's not to say that they're not a great investment, because personally I can't live without mine. I use them in so many ways. And if you're also a lover of the circle dies, then you will be very glad to hear that in the Christmas catalogue, which I will show you and talk about in a moment, there are the circled in nature dies are replaced by the square nature dies, and they are equally gorgeous. So if you're a fan of these, I think you might be a fan of the squares as well. There we go. So you can still get the effect. I've managed to not glue the bit that I wanted to by the look of it, so I still need to add a little bit more glue, but never mind. The rest of that card you can take off the paper then, and then all of this paper you can use for scraps. So like I said, don't throw any of it away because it will be useful. Okay, so I am just going to stick a bit of glue under these just to make sure that it does actually stick to it. I'm going to use the other end to spread it now because I've got a bit of a blob. It's only a small blob, but I know that it's a blob. Okay. I showed this to somebody the other day actually, and they did not realise that the our multi-purpose glue has two ends to it. One end is a spreading end for that very reason, so that if you need to spread some glue, or obviously if you need to put a bigger kind of dollop of glue, but if you need to spread some glue, then you can using the spreading end. Did you know that? If you didn't, that's what it's for. So you've got the tip end where you would normally get, you know, a small amount of glue out, and then at the other end you've got a spreader, which looks a bit like old-fashioned school glue, I think, but that's what it's for. You can get glue out of that tiny pinprick hole as well, but it's a spreader. That's the purpose of it. There we go. Anyway, now it's all stuck down. That's better. That's better. So that can then go flat down on the front of your card in the middle. And again, when I'm thinking about this, although I'm not putting a sentiment on these, I'm thinking about composition and where I will put a sentiment. So I'm going to put this in the middle, and I've deliberately put the two bits of sparkle at the top because I want my sentiment to go across the bottom here. So although it's not got a sentiment on it, I am thinking ahead and thinking about where it will go and what I want it to look like when I do put a sentiment on it. Let's turn that over. So pretty much in the centre of the card there, and also obviously making sure that your lighthouse looks like it's actually growing. You know, it's built up, coming up out of the ground, not kind of twisted and coming in to your porthole sideways or anything. We don't want any of that. That would not look good. There we go. Obviously, if you were cutting a lot of these dies as well, what you might find really useful is to use the peel off adhesive sheets. So you cover a piece of your black card with the peel off adhesive sheet, then die cut, and then you're basically using like a sticker because you've got a peel off backing on it, which makes it so much easier, let me tell you, to use. Oops, I've just dropped some bling on the floor. Come on, where are you? There we go. Right, so I'm going to add some gems to this one as well. I'm going to use the same ones again. Those darker ones are nice, aren't they? I think they're Calypso Coral, these darker ones, but I quite like them. They're different. There we go. So two different versions. One with the kind of border from the additional die and one without, but both look really effective, I think. And of course, if you want to, you could put that circle on 3D pads. I'm not. I've sent a lot of cards in the post recently. I have a lot of nephews and nieces, and they all seem to have their birthdays together. And it's amazing how much, you know, that extra kind of dimension adds to the cost. So I am leaving them all kind of flat on the card fronts instead of adding extra dimension to them at the moment. But you could, obviously, if you were hand delivering, then it doesn't matter how much dimension. In fact, the more dimension, the better, I would say. Okay, so that's our card number 2. How are people getting on? Give me some thumbs up if you are keeping up with me. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. Yeah. Lovely, fabulous. Right, let's put that one to one side then. So the next one we're going to do is going to be the diorama card, where as you open it out, you've got the image of the horizon goes all the way across, and as you close it, you've got that kind of 3D. So when it stands up on the shelf, on the mantelpiece or whatever, you've got that beautiful diorama effect where you've got the foreground and the background, which is just, yeah, really stunning. Okay, so you're going to need for this one, your second card base. You are going to need to do a bit of extra scoring and folding on this, but the second card base to start with. Then you're going to need this patterned paper that's got the pinky sunset at the top and then the beautiful orange sunset down through the middle. And on the reverse is kind of, I think that's probably azure afternoon. It's kind of looks like blue waves effect on the back, quite bright blue waves. So pinky on the front, bright blue waves on the back. That's the one that you're going to need. And then you're also going to need, your durdle door, your bit of cave. You're going to need that second sailing boat that you left, and you're going to need to cut it into a square as well. So make sure it's the one that's got plenty of space around it that you can create into a square, or a rectangle is fine either. And you're also going to need some of your birds. So I'm going to pick these up. This is what your birds look like. You've got lots of little diving, flying. That one's the same, isn't it? That one? Yeah, that's the same. Let's find another one. Where are we? Oh, there's the other one. So there's just 3 different kinds of bird, and I've got all 3 on my card. You can have as many or as few as you want on your card, but that's what I've got on mine. So those are the elements you're going to need. Your cave and the birds, and your sailing boat, which you're going to cut into a square, and the paper and the card. Okay, so you put your precious birds to one side. We don't want to lose those, so put them at the top out of the way. Same with your cave, put your cave up to the top out of the way as well, so we don't want to lose that. And actually your sailing boat and your paper to begin with, we'll just put that to one side just to start with, because what we want to do first is we need to work on this card base. So you've got your initial fold and crease, so just give that a really good press to start with. Make sure that's really strong. And then what you need to do is you need to either freehand fold the front back on itself. So if you look at my card, that's what we've got so far. And you're going to fold that front piece back on itself, or you can score it. So if you're scoring, it's half of 10.5. So it is roughly 5 1/4 centimeters, roughly, is where you're going. So 5 1/4, and you're scoring, remember, so that you can fold it back on itself. Okay, so fold it back, give it another good crease so that it stays where you put it. And that gives you like a Z fold kind of effect. And then once you've got your Z fold, you need to work on this piece of paper, excuse me, your patterned paper. Now, this is where it gets semi-technical, I would say, semi-technical, because in order for your sun to go in the middle of your archway, you need to cut off a chunk of the paper from either side. Okay, now this is a 6-inch piece of paper. So you are going to cut off, let me just double check it. I think it's 1.5 inches each side. No, it's 1 3/4 inches. So you're going to cut off 1 3/4 inches either side of your setting sun. But before you do that, to make sure that your horizon ends up being in the same place, I would recommend that you cut a little bit off of the C at the bottom, okay? So let's do it together so that nobody cuts off the wrong bit. So get your trimmer in. Now, you're going to cut off a little bit of the C to begin with. So what you need is to make the height of this 14.3 centimetres. So just chop a little bit of the C off so that it's 14.3 centimetres to begin with. Okay, I'm just going to pause a minute so that everyone's done that. So 14.3, save that little strip for a little scrapping strip project. And then we're going to go to inches because this is a 6x6 piece and it makes it easier. So we're going to cut off 1 3/4 inches from each side of the sunset. So 1 3/4 inches there, turn it around, 1 3/4 inches off the other side. Oops. And then turn it around, and that will then become, fortunately, these two bits, you might want to swap them over so that they kind of line up slightly better. But that will then become your 3 panels for your card. Okay, so let's get that out of the way and I will show you what I mean. So you're going to bring in your card. If I bring in this one and lay it flat, you'll see what I mean, a bit easier. Let's get that out of the way a minute. So you've got your card there with your Z fold there, like that. And we're going to put the sun over here on this side, stick it down, and we're going to, I've swapped mine over, so I'm going to have that one there, that's the right way around, yeah, and that one there. So that's what you want to do next, is to glue those all down, okay? So that they are all in the right place. A little bit of border around the outside of each of these pieces, you should find. Makes it a bit easier. Looks a bit neater. Lining them up so that when you fold the card up, it looks like the horizon goes all the way across uninterrupted. Obviously the panels next to each other are the most important to kind of get lined up. That's what your card looks like. Okay, and then from then on it's just a case of adding those detailed bits. So I'm going to start with my the sunset bit, and I'm going to add my little cave first, my dirtle door, and just make sure that the sunset is right in the middle there. You can see right through the hole. And I'm going to add some birds. Now the birds are quite difficult to stick down, so you can do it one of two ways. You can either stick a blob of glue where you want the bird to go and then stick the bird on top. You just need to be a bit careful. You can kind of pick up the glue from the page. Or you can stick a bit of glue on the bird and then stick the bird down. And again, if you had this set yourself and you were, you know, making lots of kind of fiddly little cards with it, then what you might want to do is use the adhesive sheets on the back of the black card, so that these would then become like little peel-off birds instead. Self-adhesive birds, which would be a bit easier to handle. Oh, my glue's running out. Again, we've got a bit too much. Don't mind, that'll work. The great thing with this glue as well is that as it dries clear, you can't actually see if you've got a little bit overlapping the outside. And then finally, you need to cut out your boat so that you've got the square frame to it as well. Okay, so you just want to make sure that you've got kind of roughly the same size, the same width either side of it. So I'm not going to give you a measurement for this because it needs to be what kind of looks right to you, really. So I am just going to chop it so that there's, what is that, maybe 1/2 centimetre on the side, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm just going to cut a little bit more off. No, maybe, yeah, centimetre and a half, something like that. But just so that there's equal distance really from one side to the other, and the same top and bottom. Just trim it so that it all looks like the frame looks like it's the same sort of width all the way round. And then when you're happy with it, don't forget, before you stick it down, lay it over your card to see where that's going to fall. Ideally, obviously, you want it so that when you open it, you can see straight through the hole like that. And it looks like a strong seam still. So just line it up. So that means I need a little bit of a gap on this side. And when I close it, that will also mean I have the same gap of card on the other side as well. And also remember, before you stick it down, that you only want to stick the bits that are actually stuck to this panel of the card. Don't stick any glue on the free floating bit. So I'm just going to take note of the fact that it's just less than halfway across the circle, all the way around the edge, and the back of the big sail is where I'm going to stick glue. So less than halfway across, all the way down, and then the back of the big sail. And then the easiest way to do it is to fold the card up so you can then line it up before you stick it. And just hold it in place. If you're using wet glue, hold it in place for a moment so that it doesn't sort of start sliding around and moving around while it just kind of, it gets a bit tacky really and holds in place. And then again, you can add a couple of bits of bling as well. Let's have a different colour this time. Let's have these pinky ones. And I put a couple on the frame and one down the bottom of the frame as well, just to bring it all together. And again, I'm thinking, okay, so where is my sentiment going to go on here? So I'm thinking that probably my sentiment's going to go down the bottom on the frame here. That's what I would be reserving, if you like. You could also have it on the bottom here so it's poking out into the diorama, but I think probably I would put it on the frame because that will strengthen the frame a little bit as well, which will also help with the strength of the card when it's standing up. But then you can just check that you've got it in the right place by just opening it a little bit, and just, as long as you can see a couple of birds through or around the frame and you can see through to the archway, then you know you've got it right, really. Really easy. This morning, what the ladies did was they put a white panel of card on the back for writing on. So if you're thinking that you might want to add a writing panel, then for your message, then stick it on the back on put a white piece on the back, and that'll be first layer size, so standard size. There we go. So how's everyone got on with that one? Not too challenging, not too difficult. It's not too bad, that one, is it? Still haven't found what has happened to the tip of my pokey tool, so that must be around here somewhere. Usually by now it's kind of rolled out from underneath wherever it's sitting, and I found it, but I bet I'll find it on the floor later, I expect. It's been a funny day today. Went to have my hair cut this afternoon with Evelyn, and Val is one of our crafters who crafts with us that does my hair. Thank goodness for Val this afternoon. So we had, if you're local, you'll know we had this absolute torrent of rain come down at about 2:30. It absolutely threw it down. It was like a flash flood, basically. And so I dropped Evelyn off at the door. Val opened the door and she ran into the salon. And then I had to go and find somewhere to park, and it was a little walk away from the salon. By the time I'd got to the salon for my appointment, I was absolutely soaking wet. I mean, I had a coat on, but it didn't make any difference at all. It had gone right through the top of my coat, and I had a long denim skirt on, and because it wasn't raining when we left the house, I have to say that as well, because it makes me sound a bit stupid otherwise if I went out like this. But my denim skirt was so wet that when I walked in the door of the salon, I could wring the water out of my skirt. And I mean, denim's quite difficult to wring out, isn't it, really? It's quite tough material, but it was so saturated. So anyway, this will make you laugh while you're finishing off that card. I ended up taking my skirt off in the salon, putting a towel around me, and sitting in the salon to have my hair cut in my knickers with a towel around me, while the salon tumble dryer dried my denim skirt so that I could put it back on again and then go and do the food shopping afterwards. It was hilarious, honestly. You couldn't have written it. I look ridiculous, but hey ho. It's been one of them days. Oh dear. Right, okay, let's get rid of the diorama and let's move on to our final card, which is this one. Beautiful panel card. This is really easy to do, really easy. If you have not got a spare piece of black or white card in your kit, then you might need to grab one from your own stash, but hopefully you will have. And hopefully, I'm saying this like I don't know what I put in the kits. It is because I've forgotten what I put in the kits, because I made the kits before I went on holiday and everything is a blur since then. And that's another whole story, because our car broke down the night before we were going on holiday, like terminally broke down, undrivable according to the AA man. It's in the garage still now. So yeah, everything I did before the car broke down has kind of been forgotten, to be honest. But you should have a nice piece of thick card in your kit. So we're going to cut that into a standard base, card base again. So cut it on the long side at 14.9 and score it at 10.5 centimetres. And that gives you your half a piece of A4, A5 size card base. Give that a good press, good crease. There we go, that's your card base. Next layer, like I say, is black. I don't have a piece of black in my kit, so I'm going to make a bold assumption that you may have or you may not have. No, it's not in any of my spare bits, so I'm just going to grab a bit of black card in a minute. From the shelf behind me. There we go. So we need first layer size for the bit of black, and our first layer size is, with the long side at the top, 14.3 centimetres. 14.3 by 9.9. So 14.3 by 9.9, which is that layer. And then you want a white layer. And your white layer is 13.7. Oops, wrong way round. Is that right? No, yeah, it is going to be 13.7, but let's cut the other one first. So it will be 9.3, there we go, by 13.7. So 9.3 by 13.7 centimetres, all centimetres. And that should give you your next layer. There we go. And then the only other bit of cutting you need to do at this stage, if I can find my paper stack, is getting your paper to the right size. So you can choose any of the papers that you've got left, really. Anything that you've got left. Shall I go with, which one shall I go with? I've already got that one. Maybe I'll go with this one instead. Let's go with this one. So any of your papers you've got left. And you are going to cut it into, so you only need 5 inches across of this paper, but you're going to cut it into 1 inch strips, 1 inch by, oh, I measured this earlier on, I can't remember now either, 1 inch strips by 3.5 inches. So my recommendation would be that you cut off the 3.5 first, so that, again, you've got it positioned where you want it to be. So I think I'm going to cut off a 1/2 inch off of the above the sunset, and then 3.5 inches, so that I've got quite a bit of water. Okay, get rid of those spare bits a minute. And then, like I said, you need to cut off 5 1-inch strips here. So for me, the most boring bit is this bit at the end. So that's the strip I'm not going to use, and I'm going to use all of these in 1-inch strips across. So 1, and you want 5, 2, and that puts my sun right in the middle, which is good. 3, 4, 5, and then that last one I will stick into my scraps pile. And that's going to form my little line across. Now, you can leave them like that if you want to, but I've put flags in mine. So to put flags in yours, what you want to do is make sure that you don't mix them up. So the way that I did mine was by piling them, getting very sharp scissors, so I've used our snips, and piling them up on top of each other and cutting the V all at the same time. So just piling them one on top of the other, making sure that I've got them all lined up together. You need to hold them very tightly for this and make sure that they are perfectly lined up. Excuse me, I've got a real tickle in my throat at the moment. And then I'm going to cut up. And then again, make sure you pull them so that they're all nicely tightened together. So up into the middle of the flag, and then cut the corners off. That's the easiest way, I find, when you've got loads of them. Make sure those corners are really sharp as well then. It's not easy to do, but it will give you the effect that you want. There we go. And then it's a case of laying them back out again so that you know that you've got them in the right order. And your sun ends up in the middle. There we go. And then it's just a case of sticking everything on. Nice and quick, this one is. So, oops, black card first. But like I said, if you want a more fancy version of this card, then go onto my YouTube channel and you will find the variegated panel card on there. And that is the same idea, it's just a more fancy version where the size of the strips starts big in the middle and then deteriorates out to the side smaller and smaller. So now with this one, what you might want to do is to use a ruler to determine where is the centre, or if you've got grid paper you can also line it up using the grid paper. So I might do that actually. So I'm just going to, if that's my centre line, 1, 2, 3, so my centre is roughly there. And that is because you want to start with your central flag and make sure that the V in the middle of your flag is right in the middle of your card. And that is really so that you can get them all on as much as anything. Otherwise you'll find that it's quite difficult to fit them all in. And you just need a little bit of a border. So I would lay them all down and then take them one off at a time to actually stick them, to make sure that your gap between them is even. Otherwise you might find that it doesn't quite line up. And also make sure that your horizon is lined up as well across the card. Because again, if you don't, it will just, it shows, it sticks out like a sore thumb if you don't line it up. Let's check these as well, make sure they're going to go on. Yeah. There we go, and that's your final card. And then I've put my happy birthday on dimensional pads, so it's raised. Really simple, really easy cards, beautiful, beautiful papers. Let me just bring all our designs back in so you can see everything we've made. There's, oops, the diorama cards. And our porthole cards, and then the sailing boats that we started out with. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then this is the one that we didn't make, where I've added the extra little bits. And again, I've kept the lighthouse in the frame, so in a square frame, makes it a bit easier to see, and just gives that focal point to the card really, which is really nice and a bit different. Okay, right then, I'm going to flip the camera back around. Let me see. Oops, so you can see what's weighting everything down. There we go. Let's take my glasses off in a minute. Oh, that's better. That's better. Let's turn a bit of light off here as well. So it's not completely... Oh, that's better. So it's not blinding me. Well, that's much better. Okay. So I hope you've enjoyed that this evening. I really, really love these papers, and I really enjoyed designing the cards and making them with everybody, both this morning and this evening. It's been really good fun. I have a couple of bits of news headlines for you, if you like. The first thing is that there are a few offers still on the Stampin Up website. So I'm not going to spend time boring you with all the detail tonight, because I'm sure everyone's tired after crafting. But if you want to see what our special offers are at the moment, then it's absolutely worth having a look. There is no joining special offer at the moment, but it's all offers for customers. So it's all, well, customers and demonstrators, but it's all product offers at the moment. There's lots of new kits. You're welcome, Debbie. Lots of new kits and new online exclusives, new paper pumpkins. If you've not had a look at that yet, then do have a look at paper pumpkins. That's very exciting. But also, it's the last few days this weekend, because it's the end of August before Ta-da-da! The Christmas catalogue. Woohoo! Very exciting. It's lovely. Look at that on the front there. That is an Advent box tree. How cute is that? That is brilliant, isn't it? And that is a whole, you know, kit that you can buy. You get all the boxes together, and then you can choose your papers and stamps and all the embellishments and all that stuff. Very cool. So there's loads of lovely surprises in there. Now, obviously, to go alongside that, you will have heard already in my newsletters and in my mailing that I've sent to you, that I have my annual Christmas extravaganza in-person workshop here in Lechlade. It is the 31st of October this year. It's a Saturday, and it's already gone out for advert and people have already been booking. There is going to be a reminder email coming sometime over the weekend to remind you that if you would like to book, then jump on it and book. I already have 17 people signed up, and I don't really want to go over 20, if I'm honest, mainly because it just gives plenty of space for everybody to craft in the hall that we use, lots of access to the cake. Let's be honest, let's get our priorities right here. And also means that you can have plenty of time with each of the products. So as usual, it's all day. We will be making cards, we will be making packaging, we will be making tags, we'll be making a decoration, all the usual kind of combination of stuff. It's really lovely. And so we had a little chat this morning with the ladies that were here this morning about what you might want to do in September, bearing in mind that we've got Christmas coming up. And the overwhelming vote was more Christmas. We are ready for some Christmas, please. So obviously this workshop, so this monthly card club doesn't come until the end of the month. So actually we're almost in October by the time we do it. So if you're not feeling particularly Christmassy at the moment because kids haven't gone back to school yet and all that kind of stuff, then never fear, it will basically be October by the time we do this. But we're going to be using, I have decided, this beautiful suite. Oh, look at these. They are little mouses. Yeah, they are little mice. From the Christmas catalogue, that's the back side of the papers. Let me see if I can remember what this suite is called. It's called A Little Christmas. And it is really, really cute, look. Little carol singing mice. Oh, super sweet. Little gingerbread men and mice. Look. And these are only a quarter of each sheet of paper as well. These are some freebies that I got at the Stampin Up day that I went to in Birmingham. Little stockings with mice. Plaid. Sally, loads of plaid. Look, there's plaid on the back of that one as well. I know you love a bit of plaid. Christmas trees and stockings and mantelpieces and all sorts. And then there's a whole sheet that's got like pre-cut images and everything. Yeah, I knew you'd all love that. So, unashamedly, from September, it is full-on Christmas, ladies. So we are going to be doing the beautiful mice next month. If you fancy a bit of Christmas mice, come and join me next month. The email will come out tomorrow. You have a week to book and pay, and your kit will be in the post to you as usual. So yeah, I think that's the only things that I wanted to say. The biggest reminder really is if you want to come in person to the Christmas workshop, then please book very quickly, because like I say, I had 16 people sign up. I have had another person who's emailed me today saying, so that makes 17. So really, I only want to book another 3 more places if I possibly can, because I think that will give plenty of space and time for everybody to craft all day and have a lovely time. And we do always have a lovely time. So there's also freebies as well. If you book by the end of August and pay by the end of September, you'll get an extra free product in your already bulging kit. You will have whole packs of paper, ribbon, bling. There'll be raffle tickets for stamp sets, paper packs, die cuts, all the usual stuff, all the usual stuff. There will be colouring, there will be die cutting, there will be stamping, there will be ephemera, there'll be something for everybody, as there always is. So yeah, if you want to join me for that, it's going to be Halloween this year on Saturday the 31st of October, and it'll all be all day, but it's in person only, I'm afraid. It's just too complicated to do online. Every year I think I'm going to do an online version as well, and I really, really would love to do one, but probably while I'm at university at the moment, as well as my work, is not the right year to make that decision. So maybe next year, you never know. Anyway, that's plenty enough from me. Thank you all for joining me tonight. If you're crafting on catch up, thank you for joining me, and see you all soon.